Free Palestine! Free Palestine! It is my honor to introduce our next speaker, the chairman of American Muslims for Palestine, Dr. Hatem Bazian.
Assalamu alaikum. We first need to begin with recognizing the land that we're standing on today. I speak today with the permission of the indigenous people of this land. And we recognize as Palestinians that we can't speak of Palestine without recognizing that we are on a stolen land. You cannot speak of settler colonialism in Palestine without recognizing what happened to the indigenous people in this land. Second, I speak to you today while recognizing that our black brothers who were brought to this country in the hulls of ships and continue to face the atrocities, the murders, the massacre, and just yesterday we were commemorating the Tulsa, Oklahoma massacre. You cannot speak of Palestine without recognizing that the freedom, dignity, equality, and struggle of our black brothers and sisters are connected to Palestine. I reminded people yesterday that Malcolm X was in Gaza. Let me repeat this. Malcolm X was in Gaza. Huey Newton of the Black Panther Party visited the refugee camps. The Black Panther Party met with the Palestinians. So you cannot actually say that Palestine was absent of the struggle in America. Palestine was central to the struggle of America from the time that MLK was on these steps to our current day. Also, just a few days, we have the 1-year anniversary of the murder of George Floyd. Yeah. And as we struggle for George Floyd, we need to remember the 22 members of Al-Qawlaq family that were wiped out by Israeli bombing. These are the connections that we need to make. Our struggle is interconnected. There are some, what I call them, Johnny-come-lately. Do you know these people? You know these people that are liberal, progressive, except on Palestine? And you know, I come from Berkeley, where we are sometimes progressive on everything. A cat stuck in the tree, we have a petition, rightly so. A dog that is injured, we have a rally for. Some of my students hug trees, and that's good because our prophet hugged the tree. But when it comes to Palestine, they go with Elon Musk to Mars. They're missing constantly. Today we say progressive acceptance Palestine is no longer acceptable. To come and say that Palestine is complicated is not acceptable. For me, physics is complicated. Fuzzy math is complicated. Ordering one of these menus in the restaurants that goes on 4 pages is complicated. Settler colonialism is not complicated. So Palestine is not a complicated cause. It's very simple and direct. Now I need you to correct your history. Palestine was not colonized in 1948. It was colonized when the British in 1917 colonized Palestine. It was colonized with the Balfour Declaration. It was colonized with the Sykes-Picot Agreement. Let me remind you that the British incubated the settler Zionist project as the last settler colonial project to be commissioned, to be implemented at the expense of the indigenous people. So we need to be very firm that Balfour Declaration, Sykes-Picot Agreement, and all the agreement from 1917 till today represent colonial legalism. It represents dispossession of indigenous Palestinians. It represents meetings at the higher ups, whether in Europe or the United States, that at the core dispossesses the Palestinians. We have Palestinians, we had the predicament of having to know every American Secretary of State by name, every American envoy, every British so-called sophisticated diplomat that comes in knowing that they're coming to represent settler colonialism, protecting Israel at the expense of the Palestinians. Let me tell those people time and time again that the days of representing settler colonialism and Zionism is over. It is over. Palestinians are facing Zionism, facing European, Eurocentric power, American power, and increasingly Muslim Zionist power.
Oh yeah.
You need to understand that.
Woo!
I speak of Jewish Zionism, Christian Zionism, and Muslim Zionism. You have to confront all systematically. And let me speak to Christian theologians who think speculative theology and the end of time has to be brought by actually dispossessing the Palestinians. We said to them that speculative theology, the Prophet Muhammad, Moses, Jesus, all of them are not the salesmen for the military-industrial complex. They don't come on the F-16, the M1 tanks, or any of this that attempts to use power, war, dispossession as a way to articulate spirituality. So we need to be very firm in understanding. I'm going to conclude with the following. For us, we need to demand the following. One, immediate, unconditional lifting of the siege on Gaza. Let me repeat, immediate, unconditional lifting of the siege on Gaza, because that is what international law requires. Second, we need to hold Israel accountable in the International Criminal Court. Netanyahu is a criminal, committed war crimes. We need to take Israel to the International Criminal Court. Third, we need the implementation of the 4 Geneva Conventions. Palestinians should be protected, not demonized.
Yeah.
Lastly, as we see the New York Times finally put the pictures of Palestinians on the front page, the media, time and time again, have erased the Palestinians. And I will conclude with the following. The bullet of a police officer might kill a black person in the street. The bomb of Israel might destroy Al-Qawlaq family. We might see the destruction visited on the Palestinians. But that is one crime. But when the media erases the Palestinians, erases the blacks, erases Native Americans, erases Asians, it kills them in our consciousness. It kills them time and time again, that we begin to think of those who are victims to be the criminals and think of the criminals as being the victim. So we need to take the media into accountability and responsibility. No longer outragers is to be accepted. New York Times or other, you could speak about Fox, but the New York Times, CNN do the same thing time and time again. So we need to challenge the media narrative.
Yeah.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.